They should be announcing it now. Come on. Oof. Hello? Mr. Horner, yes, I was expecting your call. Okay. Come on. Yes, thank you, Mr. Horner. I can't wait to start. Thank you. Yes!
There's many ways to get into Formula 1. You can go through the conventional ranks of Formula 3, Formula 2 to get in that way. You can be rich, you can go through a Lewis Hamilton-esque project and go through a team. You can just buy or talk your way in. There's so many different ways. But we're going to be breaking it down and we're going to be comparing it to a few sports out there who use this system. And the most common one that's probably known is, of course, the NFL draft, which is going on right now. And that, of course, is to draft our drivers. So, welcome along, guys, to the virtual, hypothetical, and, of course, made up and completely not real F1 debate show draft, where we're going to be drafting some Formula 1 drivers into the teams. Now, of course, drafts have been done many times on YouTube, but this is a different spin, of course, I'm wearing NFL, so it's a bit of a spin on how the actual draft night is done right then. Of course, they're doing it virtually, so we are as well. Completely made up as well. So, guys, I'm going to give you some of the rules of what is happening. So today is night 1, or round 1. Night 2 and round 2 will be done tomorrow, and they're completely different, okay? So, as you know, there is 10 Formula 1 teams. Now, how it's done in the NFL is the team that finishes last place will pick first, going all the way down to the Super Bowl winners, or in this case, the World Championship champions, who will pick last. So in this instance, Williams will pick first, and Mercedes will pick last. Now, there's 20 drivers in Formula 1, and 10 of those will be selected today. So, for example, one team will have one Formula 1 driver. 10 drivers will be selected, which of course means that 10 drivers will not be selected. That is round 1, and I'll just quickly go on to round 2. Round 2 is tomorrow, and that will be filled in, so 10 more drivers will be selected, but this will be done from the Formula 2 grid. Now, there is more Formula 2 drivers than Formula 1, so more than half will be left at home. So tomorrow will be more juicier, but today, half of the drivers will be selected and half will not. So, and that is, of course, what me and Jordan are here to do, is to decide in this hypothetical draft who will be drafted by the teams and who will be left at home. And of course, who will, Williams can pick anyone. Who will they want? Will they want a front guy? And how will everything play out? Now, of course, I'll say, guys, it's completely hypothetical. But yes, this is kind of our view of Formula 1. Exactly like the NFL draft and things like that. So, the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft is now open, and Williams are now on the clock. Jordan, my first pick for Williams, the person I'm bringing to the table, is, of course, the front runner, Lewis Hamilton, the 6-time world champion from Great Britain. I mean, he, if you could have a choice of anyone, of course you would go for him. I mean, he is arguably one of the best drivers of all time, if not the best. 6 world championships, going for Michael Schumacher's record. Now, of course, he's in a Williams. He's probably not going to be winning races next year. And for him, it's probably not going to get him to, matching Michael's records. I mean, of course, that's what he's wanting to do if the 2020 season gets on, or obviously him in the future. But for Williams as a back market team, would love to have Lewis Hamilton in the team for a few reasons. Of course, how fast he is, how good behind the wheel he is. I mean, that car can definitely get in the top 10. We've seen it before. See, Robert did it in Germany. I know that it was a wet race, but he still kept it on the track. So that car is fast enough to get into the top 10. It's fast enough, I would say, to get into Q2. It's good enough to score handfuls of points. It also needs the exposure from Lewis Hamilton and the money and the exposure that he will bring. And of course, it's 6-time world champion from Great Britain, fellow country of Williams. So that is my pick, Jordan. I mean, of course, your opinion. So obviously, you will put forward a driver, but I will lock it in. I want to kind of stay on the same level. I don't want to pick a driver that you don't agree with. But Lewis Hamilton, I mean, I would probably say this is the easiest pick. Do you agree? I mean, is it Lewis or... I mean, who would you bring to the table to be drafted tonight by Williams' F1 team?
I think, to be fair, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? A lot of people watching this, they're going, right, okay, I know how this works. The first driver instantly is going to be Lewis Hamilton, because like him, hate him, or whatever, he's got 6 world titles. He's the best driver on the grid by far. And yeah, if this had worked in real life, like if Formula 1 had the same system what NFL do, then it'll be a no-brainer. Williams would pick Lewis Hamilton, and like I wouldn't choose Hamilton. If Hamilton was one of the options, I wouldn't choose him over anybody. He's quick. He's absolutely blistering quick over one lap. Sorry, holds the record for the amount of pole positions, closing in on those records for Michael Schumacher. And funny enough, I think it was 2019 when Hamilton took Sir Frank Williams around Silverstone. Claire Williams said, my dad's got 2 laps to convince you to sign for Williams. And this is it. It's worked. So if anybody's watching this and you want a driver to sign for your team, just take them around a test track. Get them to convince them by taking them around a test track for 1 lap or 2. So yes, Lyle, I completely agree with you on this one. Lewis Hamilton will be going to Williams, which is something I never thought I would ever say, but he is.
Well, there we go. Lewis to Williams. So, guys, that is the selection done, as you'll be able to see down below. The Williams have made their selection. This is exactly how it works in the NFL, so I'm kind of 2 sports into one. No, the MLB and also cricket over here has started to do it. I think they've done it this year. I don't know how it's worked, but anyway. So, of course, we are going to lock it in by saying the all-famous words said by Roger Goodell on the night, which, of course, is our tweet for us even, with the first pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft. Williams F1 team have selected Lewis Hamilton. The next team up is Haas, and as of now, they are now on the clock.
So Haas are going to be choosing Charles Leclerc. Now, Charles has had a really, really solid first season at the top at Ferrari. There was a lot of question marks as to, is he going to have the ability? Is it too soon? Has he got in? Has he been rushed into this? No, he's absolutely smashed it. 2 wins, one of which was at the amazing Italian Grand Prix in 2019. Solid drive. 2 wins, 7 pole positions as well, most out of anybody. Even beating Lewis Hamilton, who I think had 4, off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I think he had 4 in 2019. So to beat Lewis Hamilton on pole position throughout the course of a season, that's mega impressive. He's got age on his side. He's very young. Championship, material. Haas, they need a driver who can get the best out of that car. The drivers that they've got at the moment, no. Haas, yes, they need to work on their half, but if they have a bang average car, I'm pretty sure Charles can find a couple of tenths when needed, get the job done, get Haas further up that grid, and hopefully, maybe make Haas a great team, and then, I'd imagine they have a really good backing because the Americans are quite passionate about certain sports. Formula 1, not quite there yet, but give it a bit of time. Having Charles in the Haas possibly could do that. He might be there for a long time, again, like I said, with age. And if Haas can stay there, do quite well, I can't see how the two could fail unless, they don't make him a good car, which then he could fail, I suppose. But anyways, Lyle, I've selected Charles Leclerc. Do you agree with this, or do you think someone else could be in this car?
Well, originally I was going to say Sebastian Vettel, but now I know why. Also said I'm going to hold on and pick him later. But Charles, I agree with yes. The reason I'm thinking that is Gunter Steiner, runner of the team, of course. A lot of he's worked with the older drivers. Now, of course, when I say that, I don't mean K-Mag and I don't mean Roman are old, but of course they're not the youngest drivers anymore. Of course, K-Mag, been in Formula 1 for a number of years now. Roman been at the team since the start, and obviously over 10 years in the sport. For Charles Leclerc to come in, I mean, firstly, I'm not saying he'll get on with Gunter. For example, if we're going off Netflix, it's not like he's going to be, he's not going to roll over and say yes. If anything, he might be more fierce and more ferocious than like K-Mag is, for example, kicking down the door. But it's what they need. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, John. He will be there. He will be there at the team for a very long time. Obviously, Haas do need that as well because, of course, in real life, there is talk about them possibly this 2020 season, if it doesn't get off the ground, they might be in real jeopardy for leaving, also for the interest for the team, but also for just the funds. They will definitely need Charles Leclerc, a fierce, ferocious driver. Also, as well, it's a Ferrari engine, and of course, he drove for Ferrari in 2019. Having that Ferrari engine and having the people in the team, for example. I mean, I don't know how much it'll help, but it will fix him one way or another, because obviously he has driven Ferrari before, Ferrari Junior Program. He will have driven for another Ferrari engine team, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So yes, I agree with you completely, Jordan. Charles Leclerc for Haas.
So yeah, Haas have got themselves a very, very good driver. So for the second pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, Haas have selected Charles Leclerc. Alfa Romeo are now on the clock.
Awesome. Well, Alfa, a team that they've done well. I mean, since they've rebranded from Sauber, they've done really well with Kimi and Gio, but of course those two have now gone. My choice, Jordan, is the man who I was about to choose for Haas, which is Sebastian Vettel. Now, in this selection, I'm saying this is a Haas, but 10 years older. And if anything, actually, in real life, I was about to say Seb is going to follow Alfa Romeo to Kimi, or even Kimi to Alfa Romeo. He's going to go to Alfa Romeo because, I mean, obviously, Kimi did that. He left Ferrari and went to Alfa. It's a perfect move for Seb, and in this instance, I think that they will really love Seb today. I mean, he's a 4-time world champion. He knows how the team works. He knows the direction they need to go in, and where Seb is at the moment at Ferrari, it's like he has his own views, his own old and driven views of where he wants the team to go to. And we've said this many times about Sebastian. At Red Bull, he could steer the ship in any direction he wanted to. Left, right, up, down, sideways, back to the shops, back to Germany, up to Geneva. It doesn't matter where. But Ferrari, Seb cannot drive the ship. I'm sorry, you can be as skilled as Michael Schumacher. You can be at the team as long as Rubens Barrichello, but you are not the leader at Ferrari. Nobody is. I mean, the only real leader is, many people at the top of Ferrari. It's an old team, it's got its own route, and he can't be the leader. But if he goes to Alfa Romeo, of course, an established team, Sauber or whatever you want to call, whatever, the name change has been in the past, and of course Alfa Romeo, the actual car brand. But it's a younger team, and of course it's a lesser known and lesser powerful team than Ferrari. So Seb can be the leader. Jordan, there we go, Sebastian Vettel. I mean, in real life, he's my choice to go there for next year, if we ever get a 2020 season, or maybe this coming year is 2021, never know. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel will go to Alfa Romeo. I mean, what do you think? Are you thinking another driver, or are you thinking the Weltmeister to Alfa 2?
No, do you know what? I'm going to agree with you again on this one. I think you've got it spot on. I think, Alfa Romeo having that links with Ferrari, yes. They're a team where I think they could do with someone like Sebastian Vettel, because Kimi is not going to be around forever. Kimi, who's 40-year-old now? Yeah. Come on, mate. Surely the retirement home is calling by now. You should answer the phone, matey. So Sebastian Vettel, yes, he's past his peak. He definitely is. However, he's not properly. The speed has not fully gone. There is still glimpses, not every week, but glimpses that Vettel can, showing everyone what he used to be capable of. He was once a dominant driver at the top of his game. Vettel Prime, unstoppable. Yes, the car was good, but to have a good car, you need to have a good driver. Vettel, he was perfect for that role. Ferrari, yes, it hasn't worked out, unfortunately, like we covered in F1 2000. I was going to say F1 2047 there for some reason. F1 24/7. I think having to step back at Alfa Romeo, a midfield team, a team they're not terrible, but they're not pushing for the front. But maybe one year they could have a surge like they did in 2012. See the old Sebastian, a less strict atmosphere. It'll be close to home, more relaxing for him. Same reason why Kimi went. I think Sebastian Vettel would do a solid job in that Alfa Romeo. So yeah, I'm completely agreeing on that one, Lyle.
Awesome. Yes, well, there we go. Sebastian Vettel, as Jordan said there, closer to Geneva where Sebastian lives, of course, definitely the best pick. So, obviously, we're going to ring him up now and give our selection to the F1 Debate Show Draft Commission and say that for the third pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show Draft, Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari have selected Sebastian Vettel. That means now Racing Point Mercedes are now on the clock.
So Racing Point, Tracing Point, Force India, whatever you want to call them, Aston Martin next season, they're going to be picking Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen is, I guess, a bit like Charles, an up-and-coming talent. Now, Max has been in the sport for a number of years now. He's proven that he can, on his day, he is quick, like very quick, naturally gifted, very good driver. Just look at his junior records, sensational. Formula One, I mean, pretty impressive so far. Could have done more, but no, that's for another day. Racing Point, on the other hand, they've got a lot of backing behind them. They're the team to watch out for in the future. And if the real 2020 season was to go ahead, they look like they were going to get off to a really, really solid start. Maybe dip off towards the end of the season, but never mind. So they've got a lot of backing. And if they've got a lot of backing, they need a quick driver like Max Verstappen. If he has the right team, right car behind him, unstoppable force. The car's going to keep, the money's going to keep on coming in. Hopefully, Max will only get better and better as time goes on. He's got a number of years left in him, probably another 10, 15 years perhaps, if he stays clean and stuff and, keeps out of trouble. Then certainly World Championship material written all over him in that Racing Point. Big potential for Racing Point. Big potential for Max Verstappen. Get him in. He's available. I'm surprised we haven't took him already. But I think Racing Point is going to be getting Max Verstappen. Lyle, what do you think of that? Max Verstappen at Racing Point, along with Lawrence Stroll, one of the backers. I think he'll like that. He'll be a big fan of that. He would snap him up in a heartbeat. Do you think that?
I can see where you're coming from, but I'm gonna throw the first spanner in the works here, and I'm gonna disagree there because I've got Max Verstappen. I have a feeling he'll be drafted a little bit for another team coming up. Okay. I'm gonna say that I think that Alex Albon will be drafted for Racing Point / Aston Martin. Obviously, firstly, Max, I've got a feeling he'll go to another team. Alex Albon, I feel like a driver who is really underestimated. Somebody who hasn't filled its potential anywhere. I mean, sometimes when I think of Red Bull and when I think of Toro Rosso / AlphaTauri, I sometimes forget that Alex Albon was even there / at Red Bull, of course, at the moment. Just because, not because I don't think he's a good driver or anything like that. Obviously, I do think he's good. I mean, they obviously thought he was better than Pierre, for example, and better than Daniel. And as, almost he could be as good as Max. But just because he hasn't, really filled in his potential as of yet. Red Bull's a great move, really liked him there. I just feel like at this team, he would bring a new breath of fresh air somewhere. And, he didn't have a full season at Red Bull. He didn't have a full season at Toro Rosso, as it was called then. I think that it could work here. But then, of course, that's just my opinion, Jordan. You have the final say, so whatever you want to do, lock it in. But of course, just before you move it, just before you say it, of course, if, in my opinion, Max Verstappen would be drafted for Toro Rosso / AlphaTauri, if he wasn't going to be drafted for Racing Point / Aston Martin. But Jordan, now I've said that though, I agree. Max, yes, he is my first choice, but I could see him in that car. He's insanely ferocious. And also, he is probably one of the hottest drivers in F1. As well as he is smoking hot, I'm joking. He's wanted by everyone. Like I said, Lewis was wanted by Williams. Of course, that's true. And then after that, it's Max. Anywhere else, because Max he is the next up and coming talent.
Yeah.
And maybe Charles is looked over Max. Maybe Max is more of the golden child over Charles. But Max is just wanted. We can recognise the talent, and everyone else can as well. So. Yes, Jordan, now that I've had my little rant there, I'm happy enough to say that, yes, Max, just make it happen. Lawrence Stroll will draft Max Verstappen.
Oh, I thought there was going to be a bit of a change there. But, like you said, Lyle, I've got the final say in this. I'm repping the Racing Point even though I'm wearing red. For the fourth pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, Racing Point have selected Max Verstappen.
Yes, there we go.
AlphaTauri are now on the clock.
AlphaTauri, there we go. So, of course, formerly known as Toro Rosso. I said Max Verstappen was going to be a good choice. Alexander Albon, he is there, but there's another driver that I'm thinking of right now, and it's really it's bugging me because I don't know if he's the best choice, but he will be somebody who has achieved a lot in that Toro Rosso, formerly Toro Rosso. And they would love him to go back to that team. And that, of course, is the Aussie driver, the honey badger of Renault's Daniel Ricciardo. He was on fire when he was at that team. They loved him, and of course, he did 100% deserved that move up to Red Bull Racing. Where they are at the moment, I know that they're still, the normal team. They still have a Honda engine, but that's the thing. They've gone from Scuderia Toro Rosso to Scuderia AlphaTauri. They've changed their colours and the overalls and most of the team and stuff like that. It feels like a brand new team, Jordan. And that's the thing. Sometimes I forget, or I try to forget. Like I want it to be a new team. I try to forget that it used to be AlphaTauri. Sorry, it used to be Toro Rosso. I'm like, Toro Rosso. Of course, we're very similar to Red Bull. But now they're not now. They're a new team. They're black and white. They're brand new. And also Daniel Ricciardo, of course, he left Red Bull Racing to have a brand new start. He went to Renault, who were established. I think if he could go there now, remember he's like, because he's drafted first, of course, he's like the number one driver. These are all number one drivers. These are all going to be the leaders of the teams. The quarterbacks of the teams, if you like. So Daniel Ricciardo can be the leader of AlphaTauri, a brand new team in black and white, brand new Honda engine, of course, an engine that he hasn't ran under, but also is the engine that he went to Renault to avoid, didn't he, Jordan? Because of course Red Bull were moving to Honda. So there we go. I think he would love that chance, and of course, to just finally, link it in. The Renault is just not working for him. I'm sorry, it's just not working for him. So there we go, Jordan. My opinion is the Honey Badger at AlphaTauri. What do you think for the formerly Toro Rosso team?
Yeah, I think Ricciardo is a quality driver, absolutely. I mean, when we first started this, I had Albon at AlphaTauri, but yeah, Ricciardo, he's exciting, he's quick, he's funny. Everybody likes him, and yeah, that's why his main career kind of started there, but obviously it really started with HRT in 2011, which some people do tend to forget. Yeah. And absolutely, he didn't want to be part of the Honda project, so maybe he'll be a bit miffed at that, but hey, get over it. You're not happy at Renault, we can clearly say that. Go towards AlphaTauri and just say how it goes, something as that. Yes, he used to be there, so he'll know the surroundings, he'll know the team, maybe a few changes in personnel, but Ricciardo, having that smiley face back at the factory in Italy, absolutely a no-brainer. So yeah, I think Ricciardo will get chosen over Albon. He's 31-year-old as Daniel Ricciardo, but he's still got many, many years left in Formula 1 in him. So, Lyle, I can't think of... I would say Albon. I was going to say Albon, but kind of what you said before about the whole, you switch your decision, I would say, yeah, I think Ricciardo would be just pipping Albon at that one in terms of the AlphaTauri pick.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited about that one. That's the thing though now, but where's Alex going to go?
Yes,
I do agree that he would have been a good fit in both of those choices, Racing Point and, of course, Toro Rosso. But there we go, I'm going to look it in. For the fifth pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, Scuderia AlphaTauri select Daniel Ricciardo. Renault is now on the clock.
Renault. Now, Renault looked like they were going to have a good season. That wasn't the case. Massive step back. So they need a driver who can nudge their way back up the grid. I think all the big boys are kind of gone, but I think there's one left who I think could do maybe a similar, if not slightly better job than who is currently there right now in real life. And that driver is Valtteri Bottas. Bottas, I think, he's a good driver, definitely a very, very good driver. He's not the most exciting driver when it comes to Formula One. Like, he's certainly looked over. Especially we haven't even mentioned him until now. Yeah. The sixth pick. You know what I mean. So absolutely, Ricardo. I need to say Ricardo, Renault and Ricardo again. Bottas is looked over by a lot of people. If he's in the right environment, then yeah, he could do really, really well if he's got that car. Look what he did at Williams in 2014. He had a really good year, even 2015 and 2016, when the car was. It dipped off towards the end of his Williams outing, but still, he did a pretty solid job beating Felipe Massa, going up against, of course, the Mercedes, who were, to be fair, they were absolutely in another country, let alone the same race at the time. That's how quick they were. But Bottas was consistent. He got podiums. He got some occasions pole positions. And yeah, I just think he's a quality driver. There's no messing about with Valtteri Bottas. He's not bothered, is it? To be fair, the Finnish drivers aren't that bothered, are they? They're just like, oh, Valtteri. I'm going to say it. Valtteri James, let Lewis by. I hate that. But I used that as an example. Here we go. Copy James. Just get on with it. No problem at all. That's what you need in a guy. He's not going to cause any trouble. He's just going to get on with the job. No complaining. I think for me, Renault should get in Valtteri Bottas. Lyle, are you on the same page, or do you think someone else could do a better job at Renault?
I formerly thought Carlos Sainz, because Carlos was at the team.
So did I.
I
did as well, but then I thought, hang on a minute, we've missed one out of the top 6.
Yeah,
well, 2 out of the top 6, but
haven't
mentioned
very, very true. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Carlos Sainz, like you said with Daniel Ricciardo, HRT. A lot of people forget that he was at Renault. And I was just thinking, like, could he return there? Obviously, he's, now the leader of the team again. There's no Nico Hülkenberg. There's no real anyone tying him down there. So I was like, Carlos Sainz, would he be a good fit there? But now that you've said it, Jordan, I completely agree with Valtteri Bottas. I mean, it would definitely be a change for him. Of course, I couldn't really see any ties with Renault with him. But just somebody who would just silently get the job done. Because, of course, as I've said before many, many times, Valtteri Bottas is a great driver. And obviously, just quickly, just to, tie it off, I mean, like, he, of course, firstly got that Williams seat. Firstly, I mean, of course, like, the people who made that decision will not have taken him if he wasn't very good. Multiple race winner, of course. 2019 was insane for him. Best year, of course, by far. He is a good driver. And now, when the chips are down, and obviously nobody probably expects him to go to Renault, and of course, as John said, the last of, well, apart from Alexander Albon, the last of kind of like the top 6 picks to go to Renault, I think that would be good for him. Again, underdog like he was at Mercedes, like he is at Mercedes, obviously in real life, not this. Go to Renault as the underdog, nobody expects you to. It might not have been what Cyril Abiteboul wanted, like he probably wanted like Max Verstappen, but he's got Valtteri. He might be good. Oh, no. It's good. No, it's not good. No, not good at all.
Quality.
Thank you. Merci. But you've got him. You've got him, Cyril. So, yep, there we go, John. I agree with you completely there. Valtteri Bottas. Or Valtteri Bottas. And there we go. Yes, I agree completely for Renault.
Yeah, so there's nothing more to say. So the 6th pick of the F1 of the 2019... I'll start that again. Sorry, I said 2019. For the 6th pick of the F1 of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, Renault have selected Valtteri Bottas. McLaren are now on the clock.
Should that stop it there, lad?
Yeah, we'll stop it there. 26 minutes in. Well, nearly 27 minutes.
Yes. So, McLaren, Renault. Now, this is a really exciting one. So for my pick, seeing as he's not been taken, I don't know. I was going to say Carlos Sainz, but now I've had a change of heart. Now my pick for McLaren is going to be Checo Perez. Now the reason I'm saying this, of course, is, guys, he raced for McLaren back in 2013. Went really, not really badly, that feels horrible, badly. Their worst season since 1984. After an amazing 2012 and actually an improvement 2014, of course he didn't know that at this point. 2013 was just it was really a quite like disgusting, sickly feel for McLaren. I was like, they've got their own colours, they've got the same people in the team, but they've got Jenson Button, but they're just not. They're not getting anything out of that car. And of course, Checo Perez, who was kind of linked as the new Lewis Hamilton. He wasn't, going anywhere. And it did tarnish his career a little bit. He went back to Force India. He obviously climbed the ranks for Racing Point. That helped. And of course, he was a good driver through those times and got there. But, I mean, he was a great driver with Sauber. McLaren didn't help him in his career. So for this choice, I'm like... The reason I'm saying this, Jordan, is kind of like a little bit of a... I'm hoping that Ron Dennis and Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel are thinking, let's give him more of a redemption choice. Let's put him back in the car. We've seen how good it is, obviously, with Carlos Sainz getting the first podium for McLaren in 2072 days. Let's give him another chance. Let's get him, let's give him the chance at McLaren that he didn't get. the first time around. So there we go. I think that, and of course he has proven himself as a really good driver at Racing Point for sure, definitely. So there we go, Jordan. That is my choice for McLaren Checo Perez. I mean, what do you think? Of course, your team. What I was very close to saying Carlos, and of course very close to saying Lando, but I've landed on Sergio for those reasons.
Yeah.
What are you thinking for your team from Woking?
Well, I'm going to try and convince you to change your mind. Because 3 of them drivers...
Ooh.
No. One driver I think McLaren should go for...
I was
George
not
Russell.
thinking that. Wow.
No, who are you thinking? K-Mag? No. George Russell. George Russell is the next up-and-coming talent in Formula 1. We can clearly... Well, I clearly say that, but, you know, he was in the Williams and it didn't look that good. But look at his junior record. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? It's a GP3 winner, Formula 2 winner, straight into Formula 1, like just... Up the ranks, no problem at all. Just see you later, everyone. I'm going to obliterate the competition. And he does that. It's a shame to see him in a 2019 Williams. 2020 looking like it was going to be good, but I mean, to be fair, not actually. Testing never happened. This is the draft. Nothing. We haven't seen the cars. What am I on about? 2020. I haven't seen it.
What's 2020?
I've never seen it. But McLaren are a team who are like Alex said, they are on the rise. They've been through some really dark times. Having the Honda engine, it didn't go well for them. It was just a bleak time to be a McLaren fan. And I'm a Newcastle fan as well, so I wasn't enjoying that kind of period. You know, relegation, then seeing my team get relegated, and then okay, I'll watch the Grand Prix. See McLaren fail another, go back. Oh no, we're getting beat. Oh no, McLaren retiring again. It wasn't a good time for me as a fan of sport in general. But you know, McLaren turned things around in 2019. Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris, a really good partnership. Carlos, absolutely quality driver, very good. Perez is a good driver, but I think McLaren are a team who would go more for youth. Like, they're aiming towards the younger generation. Lando Norris, he just fits in there. Like, it just works for me having Lando Norris in there. But in my opinion, George is the better driver. Which for me, if I was McLaren, I would look over Carlos, I would look over Lando, and I would also look over the third driver you mentioned. I can't remember now. Sergio Perez. I would look over all 3 of them, if I can remember them, and I would choose George Russell. But of course, Lyle, it's not up to me. It's up to you. What are you going for then?
Right,
what's
Jordan,
going to be the final lock-in?
I'm very disappointed in you for thinking that I've got no faith in my boy Russell. George Russell. He's my main man. And I'll tell you, do you know where I had him, right? You think I didn't have him picked at all.
Okay.
I have him all the way up at the 10th pick with Mercedes. That's where I had George Russell. I had him in that Mercedes. Okay. So of course I'm telling you that now because you are choosing Mercedes, and I can just tell that you're not going to choose him. But we're not going to choose him for McLaren. And I'm sorry to tell you that, Jordan, because I do feel like Checo does deserve that drive. So I'm going to lock it in by saying for the 7th pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, McLaren Renault have selected Sergio Perez. We're in the top 3 now, guys, as Red Bull Racing and Honda are now on the clock.
Red Bull Racing are on the clock now. Oof, Red Bull, right. I think Red Bull is, of course, one of the big 3 teams. Having the Honda power unit for the first time in 2019, I mean, the pace was there, absolutely. You know, the pace was there. Reliability, yes, again, pretty solid. Pace, but of course there is still more to do to get the best out of the car. Verstappen had a really good year. The chop and change with both their drivers. Gasly didn't perform, Albon did well. However, it was too little, too late for Red Bull to catch Ferrari, or even put a challenge to Ferrari for that matter. But there's certainly spells of, you know what, Red Bull could be a force to be reckoned with the Honda power unit. So which driver do they need to go for? Who do they need to go for? Oh, who do they pick? I think Red Bull. What the management are telling me
from the war room.
Hello, Elmer. Okay. They are saying Alex Albon. which, to be fair, it is a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. Albon, he certainly proved that he was a lot quicker than Pierre Gasly. He did get dropped by the program. He did come back and just proved everyone wrong as to, well, first of all, he was with Toro Rosso for the first half of the season. Let's not forget that. He did a pretty solid job. Then the second half of the season, went to Red Bull, beat Max in the first couple of races. It was a lot closer to Max race-wise. I think Max just scored more points than Albon since those two came together as teammates. And Albon's got a really good potential behind him. Red Bull know him, and Red Bull want to stick to their guns. Red Bull want to stick to their own, not get someone else off the street like a Hamilton or a Vettel. Or, who is this peasants? Get out of my way. We want one of our own, which I think Max Verstappen's already been picked, so I think they'll go for Alexander Albon. Lyle, you're a Red Bull fan. Do you think that they'll go for Albon, or do you think they'll go for somebody else?
Where I was right now with Red Bull, I knew that you were going to pick at least one of these three drivers. It was going to be a win-win-win. Alexander Albon, Pierre Gasly, or Danny Kvyat. Pierre and Daniel, of course, driven for the team before, wrongly mistreated. Of course, yes, I probably would have gone Pierre Gasly. Is he as strong as Alexander Albon? No, of course not, because that's why Alexander Albon was picked. I do still think Pierre is strong, of course, but I'm not going to get into that because, like Danny Kvyat made me cry almost once, I'm not going to get into that again with Trailblazers 2.0. But yes, I agree with you completely. Red Bull have faith in Alex. He outscored Max in a lot of races in the second part of the season. I know Max retired from a few, but he outscored him. Had one bit of a kind of misgiving in Russia, of course. Missed out of his podium in Sao Paulo, but of course that was Hamilton's fault. Signed very quickly alongside Max for 2020. Obviously showing that the team had a lot of faith in him. And then, yes, you've got to remember that this is the last year with his one season in Formula 1. No testing, nothing like that. And I agree with you completely, Jordan. So, yes, Alexander Albon, the Thai British driver at Red Bull, and obviously that is now the last of the main 6 picks out of F1 2020. So
there we go. Pretty straightforward. Me and Lyle are agreeing on this. I'm pretty sure you guys will be as well. Red Bull would be happy.
8th pick, yeah.
Is that the 8th pick? It is, isn't it? 8th pick. So, for the 8th pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show Draft, Red Bull Racing have gone with Alexander Albon. Ferrari are now on the clock.
Tense now. Scuderia Ferrari are now on the clock. The two drivers, of course, Charles Leclerc and Seb, have gone. I'm just going to make a note here. Alexander Albon's gone. Right, so we are now running out. So I'll just tell you quickly who have gone. So obviously the 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, and 1 Renault, former Renault, Daniel Ricciardo, have gone. So who do I think, and of course Sergio Perez, who do I think will go with Ferrari? My pick, I haven't really put much thought into this, but there's a lot of drivers who could take this. My pick, and I'm going to go back to who originally I said for another pick for Renault, which is Carlos Sainz. There's been a lot of talk about him getting to Ferrari. Of course, Spaniard, following in the footsteps of Fernando Alonso. And yes, I think he is talented enough to do it. Quiet, very kind of simple guy. Just like he's had his messing on with Lando, but I'll tell you what, I think Carlos Sainz in his brain is going, right, Lando, I'm playing Xbox with you, and I'm messing around with you, but I really need to go and see me friends outside and play if we could play football. It's like Lando, Carlos is literally tied between his younger brother pulling his arm saying, come on, play Xbox with me, play Minecraft, to his friends outside, e.g. Scuderia Ferrari, or a better team than McLaren, no offence, Jordan, saying, come outside and play with us, and Carlos is between a rock and a hard place, what do I do? I'm not saying that's anything against Lando or against McLaren, but I think Carlos is better than Lando, and he's better than McLaren for sure. So I'm going to say, just short and simple there, I'm going to say Scuderia Ferrari is for Carlos. And just before I pass over, again, Daniel Ricciardo getting selected. He was a big one that possibly could have gone to Ferrari, but I'll say now it's gone. So, Carlos Sainz for Scuderia Ferrari. Jordan, what do you think of all that? I mean, we are getting down to the wire here, and obviously that is a massive thing. Who is going to fill that Ferrari seat?
Yeah, I think Ferrari will go for as well, Carlos Sainz. I do. There's two drivers left for me that will definitely be picked, and of course you know the other one. I've already brought him up, and purely because I think this other guy probably belongs there. I mean, to be fair, obviously that might not happen in real life because the Ferrari might go, I'll take you instead. But Carlos Sainz, absolutely, he's a really good driver. You know, he's shown glimpses of that at Toro Rosso, glimpses of that at Renault, and of course seeing that at McLaren, finishing 6th overall in the standings, just 1 point above Pierre Gasly, who of course switched places during the course of the season, but still finishing P6 in a McLaren Renault, beating both Renault boys. Pretty solid job if you ask me. You know, pretty impressive for Carlos Sainz. He's had a topsy-turvy career. He's never really found a home, has he? He's Red Bull, he was, in the junior ranks. Then he went to Toro Rosso. Then he was linked with the Red Bull seat. He was overlooked. Then demoted. Well, I say demoted, transferred out from Toro Rosso to Renault for the end of 17. Went to Renault full time for 18. But he was not guaranteed. He was only there on loan. Then they kicked him out for Daniel Ricciardo. So Sainz was left homeless. McLaren took him in. He's done a solid job. But absolutely, if Ferrari come calling, you answer. Absolutely, you answer. Doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter who you're with. I suppose it depends where Ferrari are. Because if you're at a big team and Ferrari come calling, you only been there for one season, you might not want to go down the grid. But still, though, in terms of the 2019 grid or 2020 grid, certainly Ferrari are better than McLaren. So absolutely, you would want to go to the Tifosi. And Carlos Sainz, again, he's 25, 26, so he's got another 10 years left, World Championship material. Given the right car, I think he could be in a fight. I don't properly know, but yeah, I think he could be in the mix, absolutely. And I think, I fully agree. I think Carlos Sainz going to Ferrari is a very good pick, and of course, once again, emulating his hero Fernando Alonso, going to McLaren, then going to Ferrari. Just hopefully it'll work out better than what Alonso wanted it between his duration between 2010 and 2004. So just hope he doesn't come up against a young German in a Red Bull and loses out on 2 titles at Ferrari. But I think you'll be all right. So yeah, I agree with Carlos Sainz at Ferrari.
Good, yeah, exactly. I mean, that should be a good one. So let's look it in. So for the 9th pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show Draft, Scuderia Ferrari have selected Carlos Sainz. Mercedes are now on the clock.
This is a tough one. Ooh, who do we go for? We've got many drivers to go for. I've got Stroll and Mercedes. Latifi. Oh my God, Latifi. Who else have we got? Ocon. Things from Mercedes. Yeah. For me, it's George Russell. It has to be George Russell. We can't leave Russell out. Absolutely, George Russell. Like I said, I kind of explained it in the McLaren part. He's got a lot of potential, World Championship material. He's the next hope for Britain in Formula 1. Hamilton is coming to the end of his career, about maybe 3-4 years, perhaps. Could be shorter. Who knows? What's his name? Russell. Sorry, I'm tired. Russell is absolutely World Championship material. Get him in that Mercedes. He could do wonders. Honestly, he could maybe not the level of Hamilton, but certainly he could win championships. Win multiple races, be up there with the likes of Jackie Stewart, Jim Clark in terms of race wins, and go beyond that to Nigel Mansell and start catching Lewis. Perhaps maybe win 2, even 3 titles, maybe win 4. Who knows? That's how good Russell could potentially be. Of course, he needs a good team behind him. He needs a good car. Where better to do it than Mercedes? 6 World Championships, drivers, and 6 constructors on the bounce. It's an absolutely incredible run. No one has ever done 6 and 6. Ferrari did 5 and 6. Losing out to the Drivers' Championship in '99, but no one's ever done 6 and 6. So this is the perfect place for him. He's been backed by Mercedes, managed by Toto Wolff, I think. So absolutely, George Russell to Mercedes is a no-brainer. Lyle, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me on this one.
Yeah, well, I have. I mean, I said that George Russell. When we were talking about McLaren, obviously, you said George Russell there. Are you glad that I didn't say George Russell for McLaren? Because now, we can now get to put him in that Mercedes. The driver
as a fan, I would like to see Russell at McLaren. But
the driver who was
I'll allow it.
The driver who was tipped to go to Mercedes is now going to go to Mercedes. Of course, Esteban Ocon will be very annoyed at that. I mean, he would probably be very, very annoyed, Jordan. So, like, you know, lock your doors, and you know, I wouldn't talk about. I don't think Esteban wants to pick up the phone anymore. So you rang him now.
I can see coming up my street now is an angry mob of French people. I can see, you know, the flags, the torches, and some baguettes. Why have they got baguettes? What's going on there?
Oh God. Anyway, so yes. Yeah, I wouldn't answer his calls. So yeah, you're not on his Christmas card list anymore, unfortunately. So yes, Esteban Ocon is out, of course. George Russell is in, and Jordan, yes, I think that is a perfect choice. That has made some amazing picks. So yes, I agree with you completely. George Russell, the young Williams guy, managed by Toto Wolff exactly, will be the prospect for Mercedes in 2020. So yes, I agree completely.
So to finish off, the 10th and final pick of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft, Mercedes have selected George Russell. And that concludes the draft, Lyle. Well, Formula 1 wise anyway, we've still got some other seats to left, you know, for Formula 2. Some very exciting talent as well in Formula 2 to be selected against some very experienced, very young and very quick Formula 1 drivers. That's going to be juicy for them, and of course stay tuned to see who we picked, obviously tomorrow, for when they come out. So Lyle, are you happy with the drivers that are in the draft as well? Obviously, I'm assuming you are, but you know, if one pulls out, do you think maybe you could slot another one in there, or do you think, nah, I think everyone is going to be fine just the way they are in the represented teams that we've picked?
Well, firstly, if we're going to be comparing it to the NFL, which I started off by saying, I guess we kind of are, but only tongue in cheek, because in the NFL you do have trades, and of course you can reject a contract. So if Lewis Hamilton is offered a contract, John, by Williams, you know, do you think he's really going to take that?
No, he won't.
No, mate, I'll hold off. I'm a 6-time world champion. I'll hold off and wait for Mercedes. Or maybe Mercedes can trade anything they want to Williams for the fact that Williams need Mercedes stuff. But no, you know, if it's just going to work like normal choosing, I think it's going to work. And of course, guys, we hope that you really enjoyed our picks. Of course, leave it in this comment section below who you would pick your virtual draft for the Formula 1 side. Of course, 10 in, 10 out. And tomorrow is Formula 2. Thank you very much for watching the first round of the 2020 F1 Debate Show draft. And until round 2, I'll see you later.
See you later, guys.